This is a tiny movie. Like it's big and flashy and summery, and we're like, it's a summer blockbuster, but really it's a very kind of low budget movie.
Before Blake Lively became a household name, she was just another aspiring actress trying to stand out in a sea of talent. She got her big break with the iconic TV show Gossip Girl, followed by notable movie roles. At first glance, her journey to success looked like a straightforward Hollywood dream. But interviews from those early years reveal intriguing inconsistencies. In one instance, she bragged about being shy and low-key while simultaneously booking high-profile modeling shoots and red carpet appearances. She flaunted an image of pure authenticity, yet her statements sometimes contradicted the facts, especially when it came to how and when she met Ryan Reynolds or the alleged details of their instant spark. Even longtime fans started noting how her anecdotes would switch from one interview to the next. From the very beginning, she sprinkled stories about her life that seemed too good or too weird to be true. And while most onlookers brushed it off as harmless Hollywood quirkiness, there were already hints that something more deliberate was at play. Because if you keep digging, you'll find this casual relationship with stretching the truth reappears in nearly every stage of Blake's life and career. And the biggest clue to understanding it all lies in a controversy that, at first, she tried to sweep under the rug. But is this the only time the public has caught her in a misleading tale? Let's just say it's the tip of the iceberg, and what lies ahead only gets more surprising. One of the most jarring public outcries came when Blake and Ryan tied the knot at a historic plantation in South Carolina. Although they kept the ceremony intimate, news swiftly spread that they'd chosen a site associated with a painful American history. Critics were stunned. How could one of Hollywood's most celebrated couples be so out of touch? Initially, both Blake and Ryan appeared to shrug off the backlash. They radiated a "we didn't realize it was a problem" aura, while continuing to post idyllic wedding snapshots online. But as voices grew louder and accusations of insensitivity multiplied, the couple finally responded.
Actors Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively say they regret getting married at Boone Hall Plantation.
They apologized in a way that many felt was half-baked, framing their regret around not knowing better. Some fans and social commentators questioned the sincerity. After all, both are well-read public figures with entire teams that presumably vet everything they do. The question hung in the air. Could a couple so vocal about being socially conscious really be that clueless about such a loaded location? Or was it a strategic measure to stir up attention and shape headlines? That confusion only fueled more skepticism about what they say or do, building on the idea that the Lively-Reynolds duo might prioritize optics over truth. And sure enough, that suspicion grew when Blake's business venture took center stage. Briefly, many celebrities try their hand at launching lifestyle brands, but Blake Lively's Preserve was supposed to be different. She pitched it as a hub of inspiration, creativity, and artisanal craftsmanship, something that perfectly reflected her own curated life.
I think it's important, especially when it's a startup. I think you always learn more from your failures than you do your successes, which is really awful and painful at the time. And people tell you that, but you actually do learn more. There are growing pains in a startup, but then there are also red flags. And the times, and this applies to filmmaking, to everything. The times where people ignore the red flags and say, let's just keep pushing. Those are the times where you fail, where if you see that something's broken, you have to stop and fix it, because once you put it out there, it's so much harder to catch up.
Yet from the moment Preserve went live, it faced criticism for being unrealistic and downright confusing. The site was a collage of pricey products, cryptic blog posts, and lofty messages that lacked real substance. Critics claimed it sold a fantasy that most visitors couldn't relate to, leading some to describe it as borderline pretentious. But the real bombshell? Preserve shut down a little over a year later. Blake insisted it was part of her plan, saying the brand failed to represent her core vision. In hindsight, the short-lived venture added fuel to the growing fire. Was Preserve really a genuine reflection of Blake's lifestyle? Or was it a publicity tool that collapsed under the weight of its own hype? Some cynics say the contradictory excuses and grand statements about Preserve's failure reflect a pattern. Blake's narratives rarely line up with the reality. But that wasn't the whole story. The next chapter in her saga would reveal more about how easily she and Ryan toy with the truth, especially when it comes to their home life. Ryan Reynolds is famous for his witty tweets, often poking fun at his life with Blake and their children. For a while, fans ate up every anecdote, like the baby crying in the night or a toddler's weird question. These posts were regularly shared as parenting goals or comedic relief. Then came the moment Blake casually admitted in an interview that Ryan's tweets about their kids are largely fabricated. She seemed to think it was adorable how he would spin fictional stories and present them to millions of followers. And yes, they can be entertaining. No one's denying that. But for a couple whose brand is so deeply attached to their family dynamic, the casual confession about how they'd been misleading the public came as a shock. For some, it didn't matter. Plenty of people treat Twitter like a creative writing playground. But for others, it suggested a deeper habit of blurring reality to boost their public persona. Every joke or heartwarming anecdote suddenly became suspect. Fans started wondering if we've ever really seen a sincere version of this couple. And the more these suspicions swirled, the more intriguing the rumors got. Now, these doubts followed Blake into one of her most talked about film projects, and the stage was set for yet another tidal wave of speculation. When news broke that Blake Lively had been cast in the movie adaptation of It Ends With Us, social media went wild. Readers of the original novel were thrilled, or horrified, to see Blake as the leading character. But excitement soon pivoted to scrutiny when behind-the-scenes snippets suggested changes to the story, rumored creative clashes, and a general sense that something about this production felt off. Some fans claimed Blake seemed to overshadow the entire project, allegedly pushing the narrative in a direction that favored her brand. In random paparazzi shots, she appeared sporting different hair colors and ensembles that didn't match the book's initial descriptions. Online forums erupted with theories. Did she have more creative control than advertised? Was this yet another instance of Blake imposing her glossy image while ignoring the storyline's darker themes? No official statement confirmed these rumors, of course. Blake mostly brushed aside the chatter in classic fashion by dropping vague social media posts that hinted at bigger announcements, but never quite explained the mounting contradictions. Yet there was a distinct feeling that the public was missing critical puzzle pieces, and the question arose again: was she simply playing into hype, or was there more she didn't want people to see? That curiosity soon spilled over into older rumors, hush-hush incidents, and half-forgotten interviews, all culminating in a swirling storm of gossip that threatened to shatter the pristine image she'd worked so hard to craft. By now, it's clear Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds live under relentless public scrutiny. Yet the couple's deliberate mystique seems to court that attention, while simultaneously claiming to value privacy. This paradox only becomes more vivid when you unearth rumors about them staging paparazzi photos for beneficial headlines.
Ryan Reynolds was spotted in New York City yesterday in what is the most obviously staged paparazzi shoot I have ever seen in my entire life. One, why does it look like every single poster in this video is made by the same person? The exact same tape, and they were all using the exact same fucking marker. Also, when you watch the video, not a single phone in sight. It's 2025. If you are waiting outside of a hotel to meet your favorite celebrity, you are obviously gonna have your phone because you wanna take a selfie. And I think we all know by now that celebrities call the paparazzi on themselves like all the time. And I think it's kind of funny and honestly a little bit offensive that Ryan Reynolds actually thought we were all gonna fall for this. I mean, come on.
On more than one occasion, insiders alleged the pair orchestrated casual family strolls, fueling gossip that they carefully manage how they're portrayed. Meanwhile, interviews from as far back as the Gossip Girl era offer conflicting accounts of her childhood, personality, and personal beliefs. One interview might showcase her as deeply introverted, another has her proudly describing nights out and comedic flair. Rather than a natural evolution, it often appears like contradictory performances. Fan blogs have documented a myriad of stories, big and small, that never fully align, like her stance on feminism contrasting with earlier comments about wanting a patriarchal figure in her household, or her vocally claiming to be private while simultaneously teasing secret details. Each instance on its own might seem harmless, but collectively, they point to a consistent pattern. If a particular narrative benefits her brand, she adopts it, only to abandon it the moment it becomes a liability. Then again, maybe it's just the price of fame, right? Others argue that Blake is just doing what celebrities do, selling an image. But as the puzzle pieces snap into place, the number of unspoken half-truths and cover-ups becomes harder to dismiss. Still, the biggest question remains: is it all one elaborate show, or is there genuine confusion behind these facades? The next section delves into how these overlapping rumors created a wave of skepticism that tarnishes even her well-meaning projects. At some point, the public notices when a celebrity's stories shift. In Blake's case, it's not just the wedding apology or the short-lived lifestyle site. It's a series of carefully crafted personas that may not reflect the real person beneath. By the time the "it ends with us" rumors surfaced, many fans had reached a tipping point. After years of funny fabrications and contradictory interviews, they started questioning everything she says. The repeated small lies, like the fictional parenting tweets, may seem innocent, but they chipped away at her credibility. Together with bigger issues, such as the plantation wedding and the brand fiasco, they formed a pattern that sparked speculation about how calculated her actions really are. Some chalk it up to showbiz. Celebrities often adopt larger-than-life images to stay relevant. Others wonder if there's a deeper reason. Maybe she's genuinely shy, as she's claimed, and these tall tales act as a protective shield. Or maybe the truth is simpler and more unsettling. They do it because it works. After all, the media rarely stops dissecting their every move, and negative publicity sometimes becomes free publicity. As you piece everything together, it's tough not to reflect on just how blurred the lines are between reality and performance in Blake's life. The question lingers: what if the bigger lie is that we've never seen the real Blake Lively at all? But none of this fully prepares you for the final bombshell. Because once you hear this particular revelation, you'll wonder how much of her career was built on illusions, and whether she's truly ready to come clean. In a particularly telling interview, one that many fans overlooked at the time, Blake admitted that she and Ryan weave creative stories as a form of entertainment. With alarming casualness, she spelled out how they invent scenarios and pass them off as genuine in interviews and social media. The statements were so brazenly honest that people assumed it was just another quirky anecdote. But taken together with all the controversies and contradictory claims, this confession hits like a thunderbolt. They've conditioned the public to accept a constant swirl of half-truths, jokes, and illusions. We laugh when they say something obviously outrageous about their daughter, and we nod politely when they apologize for a major oversight, never fully knowing if any of it reflects the truth. So, when Blake Lively says she finally reveals the truth about her life, fans are left to wonder, does that mean she's finally stepping out from behind the curtain? Or is it merely another piece of the performance? Are we witnessing a sincere confession, or just a more sophisticated illusion? Ultimately, the extent of these revelations underscores one thing: the line between fact and fiction is dangerously thin in celebrity culture, and few have blurred that line as skillfully as Blake and Ryan. Now, the question is, will the public continue to play along, or will people demand an unvarnished glimpse of who they really are? When you add it all up, plantation wedding scandals, a lifestyle brand that fizzled out, exaggerated social media postings, and subtle contradictions at every turn, you start to see how easily the truth can be lost in the glitter of Hollywood. In Blake Lively's world, a single statement can flip the narrative, and half-truths can seamlessly become facts if delivered with enough charm. Yet what remains most striking is the openness with which she and Ryan discuss their comfort in bending reality. Whether it's harmless jesting or a meticulously crafted PR strategy, they've admitted to lying and have carried on without much repercussion. For fans, it's a wake-up call. How much of what we see online or in glossy interviews is genuine, and how much is a carefully orchestrated illusion? Perhaps the real story isn't even about the lies themselves, but the culture that allows them to thrive. Blake Lively built a career on portraying fantasy, both on-screen and off. And for a while, everyone was happy to buy into it. Now, with fresh eyes and more skepticism than ever, viewers and fans are forced to question every charming anecdote she shares. The final takeaway is as unsettling as it is fascinating. When someone admits they're lying, do we brush it off as harmless fun, or do we reevaluate everything we think we know? It's a question worth sitting with long after the video ends, because in a world as image-driven as Hollywood, appearances are often the biggest illusion of all. And only time will tell if Blake Lively truly reveals anything, or if this too is just another well-crafted performance.